friend, thanks for coming. I thought we would chat about some ways that we could show love to our spouse today. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jen. I'm married to Alex and we have 4 kids. They're 3, 5, 11, and 14. And I like to chat about contentment and what that means in a world that's just full of comparison and competition. So you might wonder, what does it have to do with ways to show your spouse that you love them? And we'll get to that in a little bit. So Alex and I have been married for 19 years. We just celebrated 19 years earlier this month, and we actually just kind of reminisced over our wedding scrapbook. And if you want to see how ridiculous we are, I will link that video in the notes, but we're ridiculous. Anyway, it was a lot of fun to just sit down with him and just go through our pictures in our scrapbook. So I do have notes if I keep looking down. So I was just thinking about ways that I like to show Alex that I love him, and just simple, easy, something you can do. Like, it doesn't have to be a big show of whatever, just little simple ways to connect and be intentional every day. So I went based on the 5 love languages. This is a pretty old book. I feel like we read it pretty early on in our marriage, but I think it's Gary Chapman is the author, but it's really good. It really helps you kind of discover who you are as an individual, as a couple, and how you show and receive love, because not everyone feels loved in the same ways. So the 5 love language are physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service. So I just have 3 simple ways you can show love to your spouse based on these love languages. So the first one is physical touch. Physical touch. It doesn't have to be all wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you know what I mean? And there's definitely a time and a place for that, and that's a whole nother video, and I'm not even sure that I'm willing to go there on YouTube, but we'll see. Because I think it's an important conversation that we should be having. But some other physical touch things is just holding hands while you're sitting on the couch, or if you're taking a walk or driving, just hold his hand, or her hand if you're a man watching my videos. You could give a neck massage while you're riding in the car. And even if you just walk by, kind of do a little massage on the back, or pat their arm, or a little squeeze on the thigh. Just when you walk by them, just touching, just to know, like, hey, I'm here, I got you, I love you. So those are 3 very simple little ways that you can show love to your spouse in physical touch. So words of affirmation, this one could be just as simple as like a little post-it note in the car telling them something that you like about them. It could be a text throughout the day, maybe send them a scripture or a little prayer, or just a, hey, I'm thinking about you and I miss you, or can't wait to see you tonight. Another one would be to write on mirrors in the bathroom or windows even, like if they spend a lot of time at, I'm just thinking me, I spend a lot of time at the kitchen sink, so maybe if Alex wrote a little note on the window. So you can use like lipstick if you're in your bathroom mirror, or dry erase markers write really well on windows and mirrors. They also make specialty like markers for that. So all right, spending quality time. This one is a little harder because it does involve like time, right? It's right there in the thing. But it's quality time, not quantity time. So maybe just setting aside the first 15 or 20 minutes after your spouse gets home to say, you know what? No kids, no phone, no TV. Like, we are just gonna face to face. How was your day? Tell me how you're feeling. Just connect with each other. Just even set a timer. You could go for a walk together. Maybe even implement that hand holding thing. You could play a game together. Again, this doesn't have to be time, like, it doesn't have to be a huge thing, right? I'm not saying play a game of Monopoly. I'm saying, like, find a quick dice game that takes like 5 to 7 minutes to play and say, you know what, I just want to hang out with you for a minute. You want to play a game with me? And the key here is quality. So you want to make sure there's no phones, there's no interruptions, just eye contact and being together. Okay, so gifts. Gifts is my love language, but it was actually the hardest for me to come up with, which is funny, because it's all like, oh, we'll just buy them something, right? Well, it's not just about buying them something. It's kind of the intentionality behind it and knowing like what it is that your spouse likes, what it is that is important to them. So flowers is on my list, buying them flowers, right? Well, I don't really like store-bought flowers, but if Alex brought me home, like if he was driving and saw like wildflowers somewhere and picked off a couple stems of wildflowers, that would mean so much to me. So maybe flowers, maybe even just a bouquet from the store. When you're at the grocery store, if you're like me, you're at the grocery store a lot, pick something up for them. It doesn't have to be like candy even all the time, although that is nice to have just like a little treat candy, but just like knowing, oh, this, let's see, I'm trying to think of a good example. Like, oh, this soda that my husband likes is on sale, and so I'm gonna pick up a case for him or a bottle, or like, oh, you know what, he maybe was having a tough day, so maybe I'll grab him a coffee. Okay. So another thing is just, like I said, that being intentional and like knowing what it is that they like. So if I know I need to show my husband some love, I will get him like his favorite pens. So like $5, right? I'm not spending a ton of money. I'm not doing this every day, maybe even not every week, but just occasionally like, hey, I just wanted to tell you that I loved you and I was thinking about you today, so I bought you your favorite pens. Okay. So then acts of service. Acts of service is going to make me sound like a stereotypical stay-at-home mom housewife. But I don't think that it needs to be like a 50s housewife kind of thing. Like, it's just, I say it so many times, right? It's just being intentional. It's just saying like, I know that this is how my spouse feels loved. And so even though it might feel uncomfortable, or it might seem like, you know, June Cleaver-ish, like I'm still going to surround my spouse with love in this way. So here's just hear me out. Okay. So the one that I was thinking, oh my word, they're going to stone me like feminist. No. But like serve him at the table, right? Allow him to sit down and bring him his drink and his plate. And if he needs something, rush to get up and get it for him. I know. It sounds like, oh, doting on my, like, let me put slippers on your feet. And, and I don't mean it that way. I don't absolutely never mean it in like a demeaning way towards women at all, but just that if that is the way that your spouse feels loved, maybe investing in that and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna, even though it feels weird, I'm still gonna do this for you. One thing for Alex is acts of service isn't really his main one, but he does not feel loved at all when he comes home and the house is completely just a mess. And we have 4 kids, so it's always a mess, but just making sure the house is cleaned up when your spouse comes home from work or, you know, just wherever they are. Now, I don't mean like you have to clean the house. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I feel like I'm digging myself a hole in this one. Okay, so what I do mean is like 15 minutes before Alex is supposed to be home from work, I stop everything. The kids and I do a quick 15-minute tidy. Is it always perfect? Never. It is never perfect. But sometimes it's better than it was 15 minutes prior. And so just that, taking that 15 minutes is me saying, you know what, Alex? I know you don't like walking into just chaos when you come home from a long day at work. So I'm going to stop 15 minutes prior and I'm going to we're gonna work together as a family and we're gonna get this cleaned up. Okay. Another thing is to take something off his to-do list. So if you are hearing, again, I'm speaking from my experience, so I don't exactly know what your situation looks like, but sometimes if Alex is overwhelmed and he's like, okay, I've got this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do. If there's something in there that's like, you know what, I could do that instead of him, like, why do you have to do that instead of, why can't I do that? So one I'm thinking about right now is we have a car that needs some brake work done, and it's fine. It's not in like dire need. It's just sitting, and but it's just sitting there because neither one of us have taken the time to make the call to take it over to the place and get the brakes checked. So, but that's constantly on his to-do list. I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta get the brakes. I can do that. I can take the brake thing and I can make the call and I can take the thing over there and I can just take that right off his to-do list. Okay, I feel like I spent way too much time on that. I was trying to go quick, but anyway. So that is 15 things based on the 5 love languages that you can do, just little simple, easy things kind of daily that you can do to take something off or to do something special to show your spouse that you love them. Now, why is this important? Okay. It's important because we want our spouse to feel loved. I don't know about you, but I want to feel loved from my spouse. And so when I'm showing him love, he then is more apt to show me love back, right? And it's not that it's a tit for tat. That's not at all what I'm saying, but I do love him. And so I want to show him that I love him, right? So when it comes to contentment and showing your spouse that you love them, it doesn't have to be some big grand gesture, right? But if my spouse's love language is quality time and I spend my entire time when he's home on my phone, like that's not at all showing him that I love him. And how simple is it for me to put my phone down and look him in the eye and have a conversation? That's super simple. And that is contentment. It's not that I'm going and doing these huge grandiose things. It's that I'm doing my best for today in this moment, right? I don't, it's not that I'm just saying like, oh, well, whatever. It's, you know, we've been married for almost 20 years and it's just whatever. It is what it is. You know, I've had so many conversations with other people who are married and it's like, you know what, it's just, you know, we live together. It's fine. We've been married and yeah, we had a romance and we had the, you know, passion, but we're just kind of like roommates now. And that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because that is not contentment. That's not contentment. That's complacency. And that is just saying like, it is what it is, so I'm just going to live into it. When you can just take 5 minutes out of your day and just make it a little better. Just make it a little better. And the next day, make it a little better and a little better, right? It's not that we have to be doing huge things. It's not that we have to be completely passionate every day or every moment that we're together, but just doing little things in that moment on that day to do our best, to be intentional. That's my word, intentional. And that really just causes me to be content in my marriage. So, all right. I would love to hear, what are your thoughts? Tell me your thoughts. 1, do you think I'm a crazy 50s housewife? No, don't tell me that. You can tell me that if you want. I will still love you. Anyway, what are some of your thoughts, and what is it, how do you show love to your spouse? I would love to know. Tell me in the comments. And I think that's it. I think that's it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you've liked this video, give me a thumbs up, a like. Please subscribe. I make videos on marriage, motherhood, and homemaking. Like a 50s housewife. I'm really not. Some days, no, I don't know. Anyway, please remember, when you are being intentional in your relationship, you are doing your best. You're doing great. You're doing great. And you are okay just the way you are. I'll see you soon.